Welcome to Break Free to Brilliance podcast, where heart-centered entrepreneurs, visionaries, and the everyday heroes in your backyard are helping the world break free to live life more purposefully, one story at a time. I am Seema Giri, your host, an award-winning author, entrepreneur, and holistic lifestyle strategist. Today's show is sponsored by Uplift Media. For strategies on how to break free to your brilliance and get your free gift, 10 ways to live a dynamic life, visit seemagiri.com. Our special guest today is Sophia Olivas. She is a passionate leader and visionary. Today's episode is called Catch Fire, Using Your Past as a Fuel. Welcome, Sophia. Welcome to our podcast today.
Thank you. It's such an honor to be on this podcast.
Well, we're going to have some fun time today. So before we get started, let's do a quick grounding meditation, and then we're going to get into this exciting interview. So let's close our eyes for a minute and take in some deep breath all the way down to your belly. So take in a deep breath in and exhale. Now, I just want you to be totally present here in the now. So focus on your breath and just inhale peace and exhale any stress, any tightness, any discomfort that you may be feeling. Now, in order to come to this point today, you had a lot of things to do earlier, and you probably have appointments and important work afterwards. Just let go of whatever you had in the past. Let your appointments know you're going to get there. Right now, you want to focus on right here, right now, and on the present. So take in another deep breath and exhale everything out. Just be here. And I want you to bring your focus to your heart and think of a happy moment of any time during your life and experience that same joy and peace and bliss that you felt at that time. The excitement, the enthusiasm. Bring that back to you now into your heart and live it as if you're doing it for the first time. Just take in that for a minute. Breathe in and exhale. Now, I don't believe in coincidences. I believe we all come here together for a reason. And Sophia and I have come here together for a reason because we have a message in our heart that we want to share around empowerment and lifting each other up. And you're here because you need to hear something specifically from us from this interview. So just bring that awareness to your heart and ask yourself, be open, be receptive. What is it here that I need to listen to? What do I need to bring into my heart? Take that in. Take in another deep breath, and with the next breath, you may open your eyes with a great big smile. So, Sophia, what was called upon your heart when you did that grounding meditation?
Connection. I think, like you can feel love in everything.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, our amazing guest today is Sophia Olivas. Sophia is a passionate leader and visionary who speaks such that people stop, they listen, and they hear a possibility for themselves and then boldly take action. Before the age of 25, Sophia Olivas was a real estate investor, owned a tech company, had raised $30 million in 28 days for corporate entertainment company she founded, and had launched an online banking project for top 5 financial institutions, which is really amazing because how many of us do that in a lifetime? Sophia, since the early 90s, has been a technology innovator as the owner of GreyThorn Marketing, a web development company with global portfolio. She's currently a principal of a hedge fund that invests in blockchain technology and is building smart city out of shipping containers that provides affordable housing. Sophia is an avid traveler, having solo backpacked over 30 countries. Amazing. Picking up a few languages along the way. She speaks about how when women are financially solvent, poverty is eradicated, violence is alleviated, and mental health is bolstered. Sophia is committed to living a life of purpose, on purpose, such that she impacts and contributes to the evolution of humanity. She is also known as a butterfly chaser, tree climber, kite flyer that cartwheels barefoot on soft grass with an infectious, wanderlust glow. Sophia, that is amazing.
Thank you for that introduction. Sounds fun. I just like want to do it my life all over again.
That is so amazing. So let me ask you, what inspired you to do the things, especially before age 25? You were into real estate, you had your own company. I mean, how did you get into these very dynamic, different kind of things that you were doing?
Yeah, and thank you for asking, because I think it's important. I want people, your listeners, to hear this. It was the fire, right? Like it was the all of us have our trials and tribulations in life, and I happened to grow up in a household where I disagreed with how my father was raising me. I thought I could do way better, and at 14, I left home and chose the streets and did way better. So it was a necessity.
Wow, that's amazing at 14. I mean, that is not an easy decision to make. So, what got you interested in real estate?
Yeah, so 4 days after my 18th birthday, I did my first real estate transaction, and I made more money from that one transaction than kids my age made in a whole year. I was hooked, and I started my company with that money.
Amazing, amazing. So, I know all the listeners want to hear about your raising $30 million dollars in 28 days.
Yeah. One thing I learned is that the higher amount of money that you're raising, the easier it is. So if you're raising like little smaller money, it's actually harder. And the more money, like if you raise hundreds of millions of dollars, it's actually quite easier. Quite easier. It's just a different level of people that you're playing with and their mentality at that time. But I had a corporate entertainment venture that I was doing on a waterfront project that was taking place. And I was just so passionate about it. And it was such a great business plan. And this was, oh gosh, 25 years ago or something. And I had the top architects involved. I had a lot of people whose big names were involved at that time, and it was just really easy to get that money. And within 30 days, I was up and running. Yeah.
Wow, that is amazing. Now, we may have already touched on this, but what started you on the path to entrepreneurship?
Well, once again, it was necessity. Before you're 18, I think it's even before you're 16. I don't remember what the laws were back then. You couldn't work legally, and then at a certain time you could work, but you had to have your parents' permission. There was all these like things. As an entrepreneur, though, that's as an employee. As an entrepreneur, though, you determine your worth by the value that you provide. And so I was fortunate that I sought out and had mentors, even to this day, had phenomenal mentors. And all of them were very entrepreneurial minded, and they just fed me books. And I drenched, I mean, I soaked up every book that I could, and I started reading about successful people, their biographies, who they had to be. I started interviewing them every time. I mean, I would just walk up to politicians that I would meet, and I would just be like, why did you choose this when everybody kind of hates you? And I just was, I was young and brazen, and I didn't have anything to lose. I was on the streets, and so when you come from the bottom, you only have one way to go. So you know, and I was hungry, like hungry metaphorically and hungry like in reality. I mean, if I didn't make money, I wouldn't eat. So it's like, what can I do? What value can I provide that people will pay me for, and ongoingly, and in a larger amount. So, and I quickly found, like, I remember sitting in, it was senior in high school, and they had this thing called career day. where all these professionals would come in and speak to the senior body, and they would tell you this is what it takes to be a veterinarian or police officer. I mean, it was the whole day you'd listen to all these adults, and I was like front row and center, and they only allowed for 5 minutes of questions at the end. And so I raised my hand and I said, so let me get this straight. You're telling me that I have to go take out a loan that'll take me 30 years to pay off so I can go to school to learn to make other people rich in hopes that when I'm 65, I can still hike Machu Picchu. And I was like, okay, obviously I still feel very vindicated in my reasoning, but I remember waiting for the principal, because, you know, I got sent to the principal's office for that. And the principal, I'm like pretty high up. I'm not necessarily valedictorian, but I'm pretty much up there. And the principal's looking at me like, what are you doing here? And I said, what can I do from anywhere in the world? Like where it's not geo-tethered. And this was back in the early 90s. And I was like, you know what, this internet thing, it's gonna catch on. And I was just hooked from there on. And I just started doing online web development. And this was before there were classes on it. I just had to figure it out. And I would just get with hackers and people that were doing all this early stuff back then. And, you know, this was dial up, and this was like all kinds of weird things that you had to do. And then I just started traveling and grabbing international accounts. It was super easy back then. There was zero competition. And I just decided to, like, I would pick the place that I'd want to be in. And if I saw this gorgeous hotel that I wanted to stay at, I would check to see. They wouldn't have a website. And I'd walk up to them. I'd be like, I was trying to book a reservation, and I noticed that you didn't have a website. And they're like, yeah, we don't know about that, but we do need one. I'm like, oh, well, how would I build you a website and you put me up in your best room? And that's what started it.
Oh, that's very creative and innovative. That is amazing. So it sounds like you're really way ahead of your times, and could be possibly because of the situation you were in, that you were really thinking outside of the box.
Yeah, your trials, your tribulations, the fire, all those things that like have that fuel you, because that's what it did for me. I mean, when I left home, I had a lot of family members tell me that I was gonna, you know, my vocation of choice was gonna be prostitution, that I was gonna be a drug addict and pregnant.
Mm.
And, you know, I was like, okay, great. Thank you for sharing. Here I go, you know.
Wow, that is amazing. So what do you think has assisted you in reaching your goals? What that one biggest contributor thing?
Yeah, this is an absolute. I mean, there'll be two that I'll tell you about. But the absolute one that I, to this day, I'm very adamant about and I advocate for is mentorship. Seek out and get mentors. Get multiple mentors for very different aspects of your life and for whatever you're doing, and move on. When you get to a mentor and you get what you think you can get from them, then go on and get the next mentor to get you to the next stage. Mentoring, my mentorship, my mentors right now, I invaluable. That's probably one of the few life hacks that I can truly say that is a valid one. Is if you want to hack something and get, like, take a little bit of a shortcut, it's by learning from somebody else's experience. Because otherwise, you know, the other side of the coin is learning by your own experience, which can take as long as it takes. But mentorship for sure, number one. And the second one is I am continuously and for life, I'm very committed to growth and development. I'm constantly reading. Every day I do a few books a week. I'm always taking classes. There's certain institutions that I've been involved in for over 30 years, one of them being Landmark Education, another one being CEO Space. And just, but it all comes down to, though, is mentorship and finding those mentors.
I totally agree. And that's the best form of shortcut that you can take versus actually trying to take other kind of shortcuts that get you in the wrong place and actually makes you have a longer path in your desired direction.
Mhm.
I too experienced the same thing. Once I started taking on mentors in the areas and just help me grow, you grow faster because you know the biggest thing is the your blind spot. You don't see your own blind spot. So that I totally agree with you. That is a number one key to getting to where you want to go faster.
Yeah, if you think about all the amazing people that you look up to or know about or read about or whatever, Michael Jordan, the best basketball player ever, he had a coach. If Michael Jordan had a coach, I think I could have a coach. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And not many people think of it that way. They think they have to just go through life trying to figure it out on their own. And it's not that way.
You are right. So there is the third thing, collaboration. As women, I think that one of our major gifts that we bring to the world in our femininity is that we work in a collaborative state, in a collaborative manner. Whereas current society and testosterone male dominated society comes from competitive. And
Hmm.
you're right. The other thing is team. There's 8 billion people almost in the world. Why would you want to play by yourself? A, boring, B, lonely, and C, why? Why?
Exactly, because this gives you the opportunity to focus on what you do the best and hire other people in the areas that you need that they do the best. You don't have to do everything on your own. And I've learned that the hard way too, but at least you learn. So just, look at what you've accomplished and what you've learned. It's very important. So that brings us to this question. Sophia, how do you view failure?
Ooh, I love that one. So for me, I'm going to tell you about ship captains and pilots, and then I'll tell you how I view failure because it's very much the way they do.
Okay.
So, ship captains and pilots, they are almost always off course. Like they are off course more than they are on course. They have all
Mhm.
these buttons and gadgets are like beep, 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 correct course, 90 degrees, whatever. It's because of turbulence, the weather. There's all kinds of factors that go into it that makes them go off course, right? They don't view that as failure. I mean, you don't sit there and say, oh my, like hear pilots be like, oh my God, we were off course 90% of that trip. Gee, no, it's just, they just merely, the way that they see it is as a course correction.
Mhm.
That's exactly what I took on. I had a mentor teach me that very, very early on. That one thing is that failure is just a course correction. And it's all it's doing is telling you, okay, tweak it, whichever way, but just tweak. And so that's good. It's like it's kind of like in Battleship. If you've ever played that game, you call out a number, and if you're a miss, then you just tweak it and you go to another spot, right? You don't just keep going back to the same spot. So that's one thing, is viewing it as a course correction. The second thing that I was taught by my mentor is that you will always learn the most from failure, not your successes. And when I truly embrace that, then I quickly get to, when I'm faced with a failure, is like, where's the gift? Where's the gift? Where's the lesson? And it changes how you deal with it when you're always looking for and coming from, well, everything works for me. So, I have that type of ego where I feel like the world is here for me and it works, like it's in my favor. It's always working for me. So if that's the case, this can't be what I think it is. So what is it?
Yeah. I love that analogy because it's so true. I think failure or not your desired outcome is an indication that you need a course correction. Sometimes you can figure out a little bit ahead of time, but sometimes you have to go all the way to find out it's the wrong direction and you need to do a U-turn. So that analogy makes it really really clear to see that. But of course, in order to even view it as a failure, Sophia, I think you really need to know where it is that you want to go.
Ooh, absolutely. One of my favorite parts and one of my favorite movies that I believe is a truly adult movie is Alice in Wonderland. And Alice is running into the forest and she meets the Chester cat. And there's two roads, and the Chester cat's, and she's just like not knowing which way to go. And the Chester cat's like, well, where are you trying to get to? And she goes, I don't know. And he goes, well, in that case, it doesn't matter. So
Any
you
road will
are
take you
right.
there. Yeah.
If you don't have a goal, first of all, if you don't have a why, I mean, your why is what gets you under, around, over, and through any obstacle. If you don't got a strong why, you need to have a strong why, and then your goal, then you could be doing anything anywhere. It doesn't really matter.
Exactly. Yeah. That is, I agree with you, Alison. Wanderlust is really, actually, most of those childhood stories are really adult stories, aren't they?
They
You
are.
just figure out, I mean, again, with Wizard of Oz too, you find out that, you need the courage, you need the heart, you need, to really get anywhere. And that's how she got home. So
Yeah.
you can view them again and see
Through
different
adult
ways
eyes.
from that. Yeah. So, Sophia, what do you think women can do right now at this moment to really step into their power?
Ooh, I love this. So seek mentors, seek
Hmm.
mentors. Really hone down on what your why is. What is it that's going to get you through things? What are you committed to? What are you passionate about and why? Like peel that onion back. Just peel it back until there's nothing more. Like when somebody tells me their why, I know that that's it when I cry or they cry. Like when you hear somebody's why, like why they're doing something and it brings you to tears, like it touches and inspires you, that's it. And that's somebody that I'm going to follow. Like that's somebody that I'll be like, okay, let me help you. How can I support you? Because I can buy into that. And get a mentor and get a team. Figure out if you're going to be. There's two ways to go about it, right? You can be an employee, or you can be an employer, right? Even if that's your own. If you're just doing it on your own, you're a sole proprietor. Either way, you're one or the other. And either way that you choose to be, still implement those. They're still valuable in either direction that you decide to go. I'm always constantly looking at how can I provide value and be of service. The more value that you provide for the more people, the more that you're going to see your financial aptitude increase, your financial capacity. And I strongly urge women to take on board positions, leadership positions, whatever that looks like. If you're a stay-at-home mom, get on the PTA. Where can you volunteer and contribute to your community? Just look for the helpers. Feed your mind. Everything that goes into your mind goes into your subconscious. So I haven't owned or watched TV since 9/11. That's the last time I got rid of my TV during 9/11. So I don't watch news. I don't know what things are going on. I figure if something's going on that's detrimental, somebody's going to tell me, or I'll find out somehow. At that time, I read. How many of you are in a marriage and you haven't even picked up a book on relationships in the whole time you've been married? Like you're so comfortable. Like how can you be a better parent or a better friend or a better business partner or a better employee? Like how can you improve yourself? What are you doing with this precious time? Each one of us, I don't care if you're Beyonce or if you are a librarian or a stay-at-home mom, all of us have 24 hours. What are you doing with that precious time? This isn't a dress rehearsal.
That's
And I
true.
think people walk around like it is, like this is it.
Yeah.
Like what do you want to do? What do you want to create? How do you want to play? At the end, when they say that we get to watch this, like it's going to be this fantastic movie, I know for sure I'm going to be sitting back there with like St. Peter's or whoever it is that watches the movie with you at the end. I'm going to be eating popcorn and be like, watch this one, like it's going to be a terrific rerun. Like I'm going to like love going through it all over again. Like I want to be me when I grow up. And who do you guys want to be? The listeners, like, what is it that makes your heart sing? Like when you wake up in the morning, are you like excited about life? Are you like, how do you want to be? And how do you want people to be left having been around you, known you, been exposed to you? Like, what's your legacy? It's nice that you have kids. That's fantastic. That's not your legacy. Like, what is it that you're leaving? I choose to leave everyone in the planet, everything that I touch and come across better than I found it. And every morning I wake up in gratitude. Like I'm super excited for what the day has in store. And do I have bad days? I've had bad months. I've had bad years. All of us have been affected in this pandemic time. There's not one single human being that hasn't been affected by this. So how do you want to show up, and how do you want to use your precious time?
I think that's an amazing key point. One, that life's not a dress rehearsal. This is the real deal. So you really need to step up and make it count for something more than it already is. If you're in a situation where you're wondering, what do I do with my life, or I want to make a change, and take ownership of your own life. I agree with you. A lot of things have happened over the years, and pandemic is one of the biggest one that globally every single person has been affected. But what do you do with that, and how do you be of service to others, and then be in service to yourself as well? And really find out what is that. Everyone is here with some beautiful gift. Some of us have been able to recognize it early on, some later, some still may not have. And it doesn't matter what your age is, but start looking into what your beautiful gift is and what your purpose is, and start living that. It's never too late.
And create it. There's a lot
Yeah.
of people that say, I don't know what my gift is. I don't know what my gift is. I don't know what my purpose is. Well, just create it. I
Yes.
mean, some of us create that. I didn't wake up one day and be like, I'm all about women's financial sovereignty. No, I had to watch my mother, who only had a sixth grade education, get get beaten every day by my father, beaten down emotionally, physically. Like I had to watch women in third world countries not have financial sovereignty, not even be able to have bank accounts or any type of money outside of their parents or their spouse. Like I had to go through a lot to come to the conclusion of like, I'm going to learn this and get this figured out so that I can make sure that other women know about it so that they have options. Like make it up. All of us are making this stuff up. All of us are. Even the people that you think like, oh my God, she was a singer at 5 years old, so she always knew all of them, they all have concerns, fears. They're all going through their own trials, every single one. Um, if you think that you're lost, fantastic, make it up. Use your imagination, stretch out that muscle. And you are absolutely right about rituals. I think that rituals, especially during COVID time, and we talk about this in a different form. We say kids need to have, what is it that we say that kids need to have? Routine. Thank you. Exactly. That's all a ritual is a routine. So if I can I share mine with your listeners?
Please, please.
Fantastic. So in the morning, I wake up and the first three things that I come to mind, don't touch my phone, nothing. Like first three things is I say three things that I'm grateful for. And there's a couple ways you can go about that. You can say what you're grateful for that you have right now, like in the present. Or what I like to do is take it a step further and stretch myself. And I like to say things that I'm grateful for that I'm bringing into my life as if they have already happened. So that's one. And then I do something called captain's orders. You got to do this with paper and pen. You can't do it on the computer. There's like a whole technology behind it. But for 5 minutes, I set the timer and I write out captain's orders. So you are the captain of your ship. So when you give out marching orders, your body, your mind, it's got to follow it. So for 5 minutes, I write out my orders to my body, to my mind. All right, captain's orders says, in every day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. Whatever it is that you want to write about, you write about it every day. And then I move on and I do a 5-minute visualization. Again, I set the timer and then I close my eyes and then I just physically imagine like the smells, the touch of my perfect day, from what thread count sheets I wake up to, what my house looks like I wake up to, who I wake up next to, like what the morning ritual looks like everything. Do I go to work? Do I have a stylist, a driver? Everything all the way until the night. In my 5 minutes, I do that.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. It's very important to have rituals, especially in the beginning of the day, because that really shapes your entire day and your mindset. I do meditation as well every morning. And actually, in order to get me to do it regularly, I lead a meditation. So you got to do what you got to do to make sure that those effective habits lead you to where you want to go to. Um, Amazing tips. Thank you for that reminder. That is so important. And thank you for sharing some of those vulnerable moments that you've had in your life. I know it's not easy to share, or, sometimes people, they don't want to share. It's not an easy thing to do. So it's great that you are doing that for others to take as an example, and know that they too can turn their life around too. So that is amazing. And I understand you've been really kind and gracious that you have a free gift to offer to our listeners.
I do. And one thing I want to impart upon people is that your circumstances, your history does not define you. There's
Yes.
a moment where you become the adult and you get to choose how you want to be defined. So there's a moment where you can't just be blaming your family, your whatever, your history, your ex-spouse, anything like that. Your crooked partner. There's a moment where you've got to accept accountability and responsibility for your life and define yourself. So I wanted to give a free gift to the women out there. There's a couple things. So I love to speak about women's financial sovereignty, and something that I am an expert in, and that I think very few women know about, and that I want to encourage, is blockchain technology. It is the number one most in-demand skill set in the entire world. So
Mm.
what I would like to offer is a free video that explains to women what is blockchain, or anybody of your listeners, what is blockchain, what is crypto, how do you get into it, how do you use it. I own a hedge fund, and I'm one of the few women that owns a hedge fund, and we beat the market and we beat other hedge funds. And why is that? So learn about that. And I don't know how you want me to get that over to people.
You've given me a link, which I'll put in the show notes, and
Fantastic.
we can get it from there.
There you go.
Wonderful. Sophia, thank you so much for being on my podcast, Break Free to Brilliance. I I'm sure this is really going to help women and anyone that's listening, not just women, really break free into their brilliance even further. It was wonderful having you. I had a lot of fun.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us for this interview. I hope you've gained some insights and or tips that you can implement right away. For more interviews like this, please visit us at seemagiri.com or visit our YouTube channel, Break Free to Brilliance with Seema Giri. Until next time, have a great day.